Okay, let's move on to talk about social networking and Web 2.0. These are basically buzzwords that you probably see around in magazines and newspapers all the time at the moment. But a social networking site is basically a site that is aimed at building a community of people who share interests and activities or who are interested in exploring the interests and activities of others. And some of the most common social networking sites that you've no doubt heard of are MySpace, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Now, the idea behind this in terms of traffic generation is that where there are people, there are traffic generation opportunities. And the traffic generation strategies normally revolve around mobilizing a community of enthusiasts that exist within these social networking sites around your product and service area, and then getting them to your website. There are a few problems that this presents for business lead generation. Firstly, the target audience is very often in the sub-30 age group. So if your product or service is aimed at HR managers who tend to be aged 35, 40 plus, pretty conservative, and not necessarily trawling MySpace all the time, then you may not actually be able to generate very high quality content using this type of technique. Secondly, social network users are notoriously resistant to being pitched to. So you need to be subtle and have a subtle entree to your actual product and service offering rather than just smashing them with your ad or your specific offer. You have to provide value and be a leader within the community. And you have to have the right product or service. One of my colleagues, Nick Schoonens, has a blog called rczero.com. It's devoted to remote control enthusiasts, remote control cars, remote control planes, and there's a monetization model behind it, which I won't go into. But Nick has actually used social networks like MySpace very effectively to generate significant volumes of traffic to that site. But that's because the audience on those social networking sites is exactly the same audience that are going to visit his blog and become a community on his blog as well. So there's a good match there. Let's suppose that your service was rubbish removal. It's pretty hard to imagine setting up a community on MySpace all around rubbish removal and hope to get people to your site, because people frankly aren't interested in that unless they have a need for it right at that moment. So to summarize, in the business lead generation or business traffic generation area, I think that social networking sites are less dollar productive than most of the other strategies we're talking about today. So if you had to decide, I would suggest focusing on other strategies first. Okay, let's move on to offline traffic generation methods. This is one of my favorites and it's often overlooked. Offline traffic generation means using offline means to promote your online presence. This can include ads in print, radio, or even TV media. And it works really well when you have a high average lead value, because you need to offset the relatively high cost of many offline advertising methods. You can also use this strategy to augment your existing offline strategies. For example, we worked with a client in the pest control area in Sydney, and they have a print Yellow Pages ad, a full page Yellow Pages ad. At the bottom of that ad, we've also put in an invitation to visit the website and download a free report on termite control. So basically, if users don't call the company just based on the ad, there's a second chance to actually get their contact details on the website and use that follow-up sequence to convert them, especially for a relatively expensive and complex delivery or service delivery such as termite control. So basically, the overview of the process when you use these offline methods is first of all to generate attention and interest. Your aim is to drive traffic to your website with a carrot such as a free report or a white paper. By doing this, you can capture their contact details and email address and then deliver the information and start to educate and qualify your audience using autoresponders and other types of strategies. When you do this, you'll actually unqualify or dequalify the people who are not appropriate for your product and service, while making the people who are much more likely to inquire with you. So what you end up with are some much more qualified inquiries and sales-ready leads. If you operate a retail business, then you can capture names for your customer newsletter or some sort of offers that you deliver on an ongoing basis. Borders Books and Music do this very well. And I also noticed the other day that my local running shoes shop has an invitation to join their online newsletter printed onto every sales docket. It costs almost nothing to do, but it can add to the incremental number of leads that you're generating on an ongoing basis. There are actually tons of opportunities to do this with all types of offline marketing. The next traffic generation pillar we'll cover is name capture and follow-up marketing. Name capture and follow-up marketing basically means asking for your prospect's email and other contact details so you can stay in touch with relevant information. It's probably the most powerful technique in online lead generation, because if you can capture the attention of prospects and follow up on an ongoing basis, you can generate so many more sales-ready leads. Now, this is a conversion strategy as well, because when you follow up, you get a higher percentage of visitors converting into high-quality inquiries. But it's also a traffic generation strategy, because when you follow up like this, you get more prospects visiting your site more often. In closing, today we've looked at 7 of the most important traffic generation strategies for business lead generation. They form the pillars of a strong website traffic strategy, and I recommend that you engage multiple strategies to ensure that you're not dependent on 1 or 2 sources. In the next video in this series, we'll look at the most important traffic conversion strategies, or how to convert a higher percentage of your traffic into leads and sales. To find out more about how marketing results can help you generate more sales and sales leads online, head on over to www.marketing-results.com.au. We have 2 main consulting streams. One's tailored to the needs of small and medium-sized businesses, and the other to the needs of corporate clients. I'm Will Swain, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.